It was a case of, I need to show something, do something to change this, and it was square peg and round hole, Yilmaz on, James Tavernier into centre half, just something, just to give a signal to his own team and the people watching, this isn't acceptable. I'm not prepared to accept this. And that in itself seemed to act as a catalyst for Rangers. It was almost as if the players went, right, okay, this can't be good if this is what. I mean, if they didn't sense that on the pitch themselves when it was going on, then there's something wrong with them. But for whatever reason, from the minute Barry Ferguson made that change, 30 minutes, I mean, listen, it could easily have been Robin Proper. It ended up being Clinton Nsiala on the back of his display against St Mirren in the previous game as well. He was the chosen one, but it could easily have been Proper. But from that moment, Rangers just came alive, and you could sense even just before Václav Černý scored, I think Rangers had a chance. Then Černý scored, and it was so strange that Kilmarnock had completely dominated the first 30 minutes of the game, and you sat there at half-time thinking Rangers are probably odds on to win this, and that was how it turned out. They were really good in the second half. Rangers, they bossed it. They were in control of the game in the second half. Kilmarnock just sort of fell out of it. And I know there was controversy over the second Rangers goal, and Yanis Hadji's shot, which didn't look to me at the game to take a touch, and it seems like television backed that up. But Kilmarnock should have defended the corner better. Cyril Dessers did brilliantly score. His second goal for Rangers' third goal was a brilliant finish, although again, Kilmarnock's backline, one ball from Yilmaz took out the entire backline, not good. But yeah, Rangers were really good second half, and I think what that shows is, forget the long term, just the short term just now. The Rangers fans got to see in the final hour last night a team play with a bit of desire and a bit of courage, and that was instigated by Barry Ferguson making those changes. And if that's all that Rangers can cling to for the rest of the season, then at least they know the players are going to be turning up for them. If that's the template, then they're going to be turning up for them for the rest of the season. So, and that score was pretty impressive.
Let me throw some. I mean, obviously, you'd imagine there's some very excited Rangers fans that have been writing in. So let me throw a few of them at you, Scott, before we get any further. Dave Allen wrote in saying, "Stop me from getting carried away, but I think Barry could replace Ancelotti at Real Madrid."
I think he's already carried away.
Paul Jameson, it wasn't just the passion, it was the brogues. We need brogues and staunchness and abundance. Gary says, thank you, Barry Ferguson. I saw more passion in 90 minutes than I have all season. That's what it means to a Rangers legend. The current squad can learn so much if they're prepared to listen. Not since the days of the late great Walter Smith have I seen a Rangers manager show just what it means to lead a Rangers team. Let's get behind them. And Andy Haggerty says, what a difference the exact same group of players to Saturday's woeful display. There's a bit of pride and love of the club gets you. Well done to the interim team and Barry. Of course, but it's been met with a lot of people, saying, for instance, Stephen, it's only one game. But, it was pretty good for Rangers fans last night.
It's not like the Rangers fans to get carried away, is it, after one game? Listen, Swanee summed it up really, really well. I thought at the start of the game, Rangers just weren't physical enough. I actually thought on the ball they actually did increase their tempo for the weekend, and they were trying to play forward, but they just weren't physically strong enough to deal with Killie in the opening stages in terms of the set pieces and even the middle of the park. And as Swanee says, after 20 minutes, I mean, you feared the worst. You thought this is going to be 4 or 5, and the change was obviously a massive moment, not just for the team. I just think for Barry Ferguson himself to make a huge call like that and for it to pay off for him, I think was a massive moment. I agree with Swanee. They played with a desire, a determination, an urgency that's not been there for weeks. And maybe it was as simple as just looking over at the touchline and seeing a different guy, hearing a different voice, seeing Barry Ferguson being demonstrative on the touchline, and it felt like they reacted to that. And I thought in the second half, I do think there was a wee tactical kind of switch. It felt like the two wide players for Rangers, Hadji and Černý, were told to come inside and help the two guys in the middle. At times in the second half, it was almost like in a box midfield, but it just helped Rangers get control of the game. And Killie, after the first half hour, as Swanee says, it was difficult for them to keep that keep that level of intensity up. So, listen, in terms of the comeback, he probably couldn't have scripted it any better. Barry Ferguson, I mean, he'd have loved a 5-0 and a clean sheet. But in terms of making that big call, making a couple of tweaks at half-time, coming back for 2-0 down, I mean, I've seen some stats last night. I mean, the last time they came back for 2-0 down was like so many years ago. The last time they did it at Rugby Park was like 2000 or something. So it shows you how rare it's been for Rangers in recent years to pull off a victory like that. So I'd be absolutely delighted with the reaction they got.
The first time they came from 2 down to winning a Premiership match since 2010.
Yeah.
So 15 years ago. So, Johnny, you were quite right, excuse me, in what you said about it could have been 3, 4, 5-0 to Killie quite easily in the first, 20 minutes. Obviously, Nsiala is the one that gets the hook. But he's still a young player, right? But there's been into Olasanya at the weekend as well. Gave him an absolutely torrid time. Look, I don't even know what I'm trying to say here. Is there hope for him as a Rangers player, do you think? Is he good enough to play for a club at Rangers standard? Can he grow into it, or just he's maybe a bit out of his depth?
Well, I think he's only played something like 8 or 9 professional games.
That's true, aye.
So he's nowhere near the situation, or nowhere near the level of experience, and you need to gain it as you go along, and it's a tough school. And the performances that he put on for the last 2 games weren't good enough. But it's been slightly unfortunate for him that the situation with the injuries to John Souttar and Leon Balogun have left him thrust into this situation. I think ideally a lad like that would be getting dipped and dripped into the team slowly, maybe the last 20 minutes of games, last half an hour of games. But at the end of the day, Barry Ferguson has shown that, listen, he was very magnanimous after the game last night. But we'll work with Clinton.